You know you've got a great job when it's a Saturday and you're sad that it's the weekend and you wish it were a work day because you're so excited about science and you want to discuss things with your colleagues and keep working on projects and all sorts of things, but you have to do chores that you save for the weekend. But this is all to say that I love my postdoc position. And so I'm here at UCSF in the lab of Danica Fujimori. And I've been here 3 weeks and I absolutely love it so much. Like, I still can't believe how lucky I am. I have to keep pinching myself. It's pretty crazy. But I was just feeling really fortunate and really lucky. And I just wanted to say, remind myself and remind others to take chances. Sometimes it can be really scary, and to reach out to a lab, see if they'll take you on as a postdoc, to travel across the country to a new opportunity. But some of the best things in my life have come when I've taken a chance, and often I've had to have a little outside push in order to do it. So for example, I still majorly struggle with self-confidence, but it's gotten better over the years, but still not. I'm better at faking it in a lot of ways. But how I kind of gain some of my self-confidence, that little bit I do have, is actually through science, which is one of the reasons why I want to become a professor for undergraduates and really help empower my students to feel like they have some agency, like they can do things, they can discover things, they can be part of a this whole scientific community and actually make a big contribution or a little contribution. It all matters. But so in undergrad, basically I started doing research I was at St. Mary's College of California, highly recommend it. And I got involved with research through the undergraduate research program, the summer undergraduate research program, or the summer research program, sorry, everywhere has a different name, and it was SRP, because we were all undergraduates in the science program there. And I was really wanting to get into try out research, but I was really afraid. I knew that it was a competitive program and you had to actually find a professor who would be willing to take you on as a student, and I was just terrified. And I had a professor, Dr. Vidya, who convinced me to take a chance and approach a scientist, Dr. Jeff Sigmund, and see if he would take me on as a student. And he said he would, and so I prepared an application and I got accepted, and I got involved with the research through the summer research program, ended up winning the poster competition, got to go to a national conference, and I really was exposed to this wider scientific world and saw myself as part of a bigger picture. Saw myself as actually having the potential to be a scientist, and so I kept doing research in Dr. Sigmund's lab over the next couple of years. And when it came time for a summer research again, I was thinking I would just stay and do research in his lab. And he really encouraged me to seek out opportunities outside of the campus so I could see what it's like to be to get more of a sense of different scientific environments, things like postdocs and grad students, which we didn't have at our school because we just had undergraduates for the science. And so I once again was terrified of taking a chance, didn't know where to start, did some Googling, reached out to topics I was interested in, and I ended up getting into contact with the Huntington's Disease Society of America, who then put me in touch with other people, and I ended up approaching Dr. Steven Finkbeiner, actually down the street, right across the street, or down the street, I'm still trying to figure out directions, here at UCSF, in the Gladstone Institute and I spent the summer there. I ended up applying for this Huntington's Disease Society of America, great organization, by the way, their summer fellowship program. I ended up getting this fellowship, and I got to do research at Gladstone in the Finkbeiner lab, and it was just this amazing opportunity. I got to learn from a bunch of people, and once again, I really just saw my my horizons really broaden, and get the sense, like, because I was pre-med before, and I'm like, maybe MD, PhD, and I'm like, after this, I was like, no, I want to go full research, and I have never looked back, and so I was terrified in all those instances, and I didn't think that I had any chance. When it came to applying to grad schools, it was the same thing. Like, I ended up applying to like 13 grad schools because I literally had no idea what to expect, and I had no hope that I would actually get interviews, let alone get admitted into any of these places. And so I was so, like, I don't know how I thought that I should apply to some of these places, but I did, and I ended up getting into my dream school, Cold Spring Harbor Laboratories, School of Biological Sciences. I had an amazing educational experience there, and when it came time to figure out the next steps, I knew I wanted to do a postdoc, so a postdoctoral position, so where you go to like another lab and you get more experience in, it could be a different field, a slightly different field, a different topic. It can be expanding on your current research, different things depending on what your goals are for getting out of it. And so I started doing some searching for postdoc labs, potential opportunities, and I found Dr. Fujimori's lab website, and I just thought that the research sounded really fascinating, and it just seemed like it might be a really great environment for me, and I was once again terrified, but I saw that she was looking for postdocs, and I sent my resume and letters of recommendation. And so that's another thing about, it can be really scary to request letters of recommendation, because these things are going to require it, and also typically require a CV. So you want to keep your CV, like every time you do like a presentation or publication or anything, you want to update your CV so that when it's time where like someone's like, oh, can you send your CV? It's like you don't have to scramble and get your whole CV. So I actually have like a long version of my CV and a short version. So the long version has like everything, and the short version is the one I would like typically send to somebody. But speaking of which, then on my CV I have the people that they can contact for letters of reference. The first time that you ask for a letter of reference, it can be really, really scary. But the good thing is that if you ask, then once they write it once, then they can just kind of like tweak it for future applications. And so then it'll be less of a big deal for them to do it. And so they'll typically be, it'll be easier for them when you want to, in the future, to go back and ask the same person for a letter of recommendation. It'll be easier on them, and it'll be easy on you because you already know that they've given you a letter of recommendation before. So all that's to say that that's another great thing about applying to things that you wouldn't think that you had a chance for. So whether it's a fellowship, whether it's an award, whether it's a postdoc, whether it's grad school, all of these different things, every time that you're like applying for one of these things, or like some grants or fellowship, whatever, conference, travel award, all these various things, it really doesn't hurt to apply. And so there's, I guess in some cases, like if it's a school application, there might be a like application fee, but if you can typically get a waiver if you can't afford it. But I mean, like for grants or for like fellowships and all of this stuff, like there's no fee. There's nothing hurt, and actually you gain a lot of experience writing this application. And then once again, it's one of those things where you can kind of tweak it for different purposes, but make sure you do tweak it because that's really important. But if it's something where you have to be writing about your research or writing about your interests, various things, this is going to be helpful again and again and again. So even if you don't get into this program, even if you don't get this award, even if you don't get whatever, it is still like you got something out of it because you had the experience of writing all of this stuff down, that you can then use in the future. And if you were requesting letters of recommendation, now you have that, you've gotten that part of things going, for future applications as well. So this is all to say that sometimes you just really need to take a leap, take chances, and you never know where you might end up. You might end up in your dream location. And yeah, so I am very, very much looking forward to my time here. And I still just cannot believe how fortunate I am And I don't want to take it for granted. I know that education is a huge privilege. Being in a great working environment is a huge privilege. Getting to do something I love for a living is a huge privilege. And I never, ever, ever, ever want to take it for granted. So this isn't to say that there aren't going to be hard times in science. This isn't to say that there aren't places, like labs that you wouldn't want to be working in, which is why it's important that you like really feel out the waters first before you would join a lab and that sort of thing. But if you can find a great environment with great people, great research, all of these things, and really remember that it's a privilege to be there. It's a gift to be able to immerse yourself in learning for a living and to help others learn. And so I don't want to take it for granted, and I want to make the most of all of these opportunities and do what I can to help other people have access to this world as well. And yeah, so I'm just feeling really, really grateful, and it's the weekend, so I can't really nerd out with people in the lab. And so I'm really excited about research, and I was spending all morning like reading, and I'm like, I just want to talk to people about this sort of thing. But I can't tell you about that stuff because I'm still like in the process of setting everything up and things, and I don't even know how much I can say about my project or not. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to be happy and celebrate, and really just say that go for it. Try, and I hope that you succeed, and I wish you all the best of luck with whatever risks that you take. Like sensible risks, like you know what I'm talking about, like taking chances on things that you don't think that you don't feel confident that you have any chance for. And so yeah, just go for it, and good luck. Also remember that there is a lot of luck that goes into this sort of thing. I mean, the lab has to have funding, they have to have a position for that sort of thing. Maybe if it's something like a grant or whatever, maybe you happen to get a reviewer that wasn't having a good day. So there's all sorts of different places where luck comes into things. But once again, luck might be on your side.